Lyon College football back on the air. We are in Plainview, Texas, which is about 45 miles north of Lubbock, Texas, close to the Panhandle if you're looking at a map. But first, before we talk about tonight's ball game, we got to go back and talk about last week's. This is the Coach Casey Creehan pregame show, a service of the Lyon College Kilted Army. I hope you got your Boston butt, Coach. They were cooking them out there and smoking them all earlier this week, and man, it smelled good on campus.
I'll tell you what, they were cooking them during practice yesterday, and let's just say we were distracted a little bit.
I bet you were. Yeah. I really bet you were. I think I delivered maybe 22 of those things around there. We sold a bunch of them, so I know we appreciate all the support there, and the Booster Club does a lot for our student athletes.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Coach, big win, upset, if you will. Oklahoma Panhandle State University, on paper, probably shouldn't have won that game.
Well, I mean, it was just a great overall effort for our kids. I mean, the one thing we always preach, and it's true around the country, I think everyone preaches it, but if you win the turnover battle, you got a chance to win the game. And we won the turnover battle, and that put us in a great situation to win it.
Lyon College, I believe, set a program record for most fumble recoveries, and I think we had 5 fumble recoveries at 1 pick as well. So, I mean, if you get, I think we may have fumbled the ball once, and they picked it up. So, I mean, 6-1's good odds.
Yeah, it was. 6-1's good, and when you're +5, obviously you got a great chance to win the game.
Now, one thing that I do have to say, I mean, and I think it kind of shocked you a little bit in our post-game interview, was 97 total yards of offense. That's got to be tough.
It is, and we know we need to improve, and we're taking a lot of strides to get better in that area. We're obviously still a work in process on all 3 phases of football, but we win and lose as a team. And, there might be a game in the future where our offense scores 40 and we can't slow them down and we have to win a shootout. So that's what good teams do. You win the low scoring ones and you win the shootouts once in a while. And you got to be able to do them both to be an upper echelon team.
Well, Coach, looking at their stats and their records, Oklahoma Panhandle State, I mean, they're keeping teams to right at 100 yards of total offense anyway. So, I mean, we're on average across the board. So, but sometimes you just got to tip your hat. They had a pretty good defensive front.
They absolutely did. They were big and physical on both sides of the football, and we knew that coming in. Offensively, they come out and they try and pound it, and defensively, they got a physical front 7, and they wear you down. So, hats off to our kids for grinding it out and getting the W.
Titus Nelson seemed to work really well early on in the ball game. Second half, they seemed to have made some adjustments and stopped our running game.
Yeah, they did. They started loading the box more and used more what we call cover 0 pressures, which is kind of feast or famine in the running game. I mean, when you're in cover 0 blitzes and you're trying to stop the run with it, you might hit them for a loss some, but then you might give up a big one. And
right.
That's the danger of living that way. But they did a really good job at it, and credit to their kids. They were disciplined with it.
Let's take a 2-minute timeout and talk about one of those phases of the game, Coach, that doesn't get a lot of spotlight, except the one at Lyon College really has, and that's special teams. We'll do that in just a moment. Let's take a 2-minute timeout. We'll be back with more. Coach Casey Creehan here on 93 KZLE. Welcome back to the Coach Casey Creehan pregame show, a service of the Lyon College Kilted Army. Become a member of the Kilted Army and support our student athletes. You can still get season passes for other sports. Baseball, softball coming up in the spring. Wrestling season's coming up. Basketball season, both men's and women's as well. And volleyball's going on. Of course, football now too. We still have a few home games left, but we like for folks to support our student athletes, and you can by becoming a member of the Kilted Army. Just go to LyonScots.com. Coach, I think you were telling me you're just now realizing this, but Nacho Gomez, Special Teams Player of the Week for the league this week for the first time this season.
Well, I say it all the time. There's no kicker in the country I'd rather have than Nacho. I mean, he was tremendous in this game. My wife's dad was in attendance. He saw this team play for the first time, and he's in the Pennsylvania State Hall of Fame as a high school coach. He's won a lot of games, and one area he's really gifted in is spotting the good players. And the first thing he said to me after the game was, "Wow, I didn't know you had such a great kicker." So, but there's no doubt, like I said, there's no kicker I'd rather have than Nacho. He was tremendous in the kickoff, in the punting department, and also I think he was perfect on field goals.
42 yards per punt, over 63 yards per kickoff. 2 of them went back in the end zone for a touchback. 1 more, but they ran it out too. 1 PAT. He got blocked there, but he hit field goals on 22, 27, 26 yards there too. I mean, 9 points for him, just from the field that way, not counting the 2 PATs. So a good weapon that really helped you seal the deal against Panhandle last week.
Well, there's no doubt. And, I mean, obviously our red zone offense struggled. And, having a good kicker like that and being able to come away with points every time is huge, especially in low-scoring games.
Well, Coach, tell us a little bit about the health of the team right now.
Overall, I mean, we have our bumps and bruises, mid-season, like I think any team does at this point. Overall, though, I think we're still doing okay. I've seen way worse situations than this, so knock on wood, we're hanging in there, but we do have a few out that we'd like to get back.
Absolutely, and we're at the midway point right now, but everybody is really dealing with this same thing.
Yeah, and it's part of the game, and you have to have the next man up mentality, and I think our guys do that and welcome those opportunities.
What is the mindset of your second-tier guys or your third-tier guys that do have to step up and take that opportunity right now?
Well, the biggest thing is what's their mindset before this happens? We always preach to them, hey, you're one sprained ankle or, whatever away from being out there. And so when you're in the classroom, in the meeting room, and, coaches are going through things, you should be taking notes as well and getting yourself mentally prepared. And even though you won't get the same amount of practice reps as the starter per se, you need to get those mental reps in while you're doing it, because the drop of a hat, you could be out there and you're the guy.
No doubt about that at all, Coach. We're in Plainview, Texas, taking on Wayland Baptist and the Pioneers. Let's take a 2-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about the Pioneers and our opponent coming up here this afternoon on the broadcast on 93 KZLE. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Coach Casey Creehan pregame show. Big Daddy Randy Allen here with you. A service of the Lyon College Kilted Army. Support our student athletes. Just go to lionscots.com. Click on the icon there on the homepage. You can get tickets. You can make donations to our athletic booster club called the Kilted Army at lionscots.com. Coach Creehan, last year I was looking over our record, I believe, with Wayland Baptist. And the first year we played in 2015, it's a 51-30 loss. Next year we played 37-14. Next year we played 52-14. Last year we played them, and it was a loss on the field, but we ended up being a win. They had an ineligible player, so it actually pushed the Scots season to 6-5 instead of 5-6. So we are winless right now on the field with these guys. Tell us a little bit about what you know about the Wayland Baptist Pioneers.
Well, first of all, from an offensive standpoint, they have some good skill players. They get them out in space. They spread it around to them. They're led by a quarterback that he plays really well for them. He hits the open guys. They do what they do really well. They run some spread read option type runs, and then they mix that with a drop back passing game, and they're pretty efficient at it, and they do a nice job. And then defensively, they're a lot of man coverage, 2-man. and they play a little bit of a, quarter soft cover 2 type coverage. And they just do what they do, and they do it well. And, they're a team like a lot of teams in this league. You have to go in, you have to play well, you have to do the little things, be disciplined. And you can have a chance to win, but if you don't go out and give your best effort, they have the potential on their team that they can expose you.
What scares you the most about this game today?
I don't know if anything scares me. You've heard me say it before, and I always say it. The issue is always going to be us. It's never going to be the opponent. And, what scares me is if we don't go out and do what we're supposed to do. If we go out and take care of our business, then, I like our chances. I wouldn't guarantee a win, but it'll be a good competitive game, and we'll have a chance to win. But, we have to, again, win the turnover battle. Can't take useless penalties, and we have to play discipline and execute what we do.
Well, Coach, I know compared to how we play at home to how we've been playing on the road outside of Missouri Baptist, and I think I mentioned this last week too, we haven't played very well on the road. We
haven't, especially the last 2 times down there at Hendricks and then, obviously out in Arizona. So, we just have to get mentally ready to play. Winning on the road's tough in any league, and this one's no different. So it's a mindset. I always tell the guys, hey, the environment changes, we don't change. We have to do what we do, and regardless, we'll go play in a parking lot if we have to. But we have to be mentally locked in and ready to go. And as coaches, we've been brainstorming things all week on how we can best travel and how we can best get them ready. But at the end of the day, each man's got to look himself in the mirror and be mentally ready to go.
The Ottawa game, I know I keep bringing it up, Coach, but you look at a team like that. 52 junior college transfers, a team that on paper, scouting them, probably should have beat us. Maybe not in the way that they did, but probably should have. Last week, Oklahoma Panhandle State, they beat Ottawa a couple of weeks before. We beat them as well. Wayland Baptist beat Ottawa on the last few minutes of the ball game on a last-minute drive too. But us pulling that upset at home last week should tell these guys they can do it.
Yeah, and it's like I told the guys this week in the team meeting, what we've proven is we can play with anybody. What we haven't proven is that we can beat anybody. It's like I said, I don't mean to keep harping on it, but it's each man getting mentally ready to play and doing all the little things and doing what we're supposed to do and executing. That's as simple as I can put it, but it's actually the truth. You have to go out and you have to execute to win.
It's simple, but sometimes it's hard.
No question.
Coach Casey Creehan on the Coach Casey Creehan pregame show. Stay tuned. We'll have starting lineups and kickoff coming up right after these words. Coach, let's bring home a W.
Yes, sir. Thank you.